In January, Warren Slocum was sworn in to represent District 4 on the San Mateo County Board of Supervisors. That board oversees a yearly budget of some $1.8 billion. Public safety, healthcare, parks. The county is a major player in the quality of life in San Mateo County. Welcome to Peninsula Newsmakers. I'm Marshall Wilson. Joining me now is Supervisor Warren Slocum. Warren, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Marshall.
We want to hear a lot about your vision for the future, but first of all, you've been on the board now about 45 days. Tell us what you've learned.
Okay, I'll start at the very beginning. January 7th, I was sworn in, and it was quite a humbling event in that 250 or so people came, our congresswomen came, and I didn't realize I had that many friends, frankly, but it was really a good way to kind of kick off the beginning of my term, and I was very, very proud of that night. I still think about it fondly. But I've learned a lot, you're right, in 45 days, and as you know, I served for 20 plus years as the county's chief elections officer and assessor county clerk recorder, the longest title of any department head in the county. But so I had county experience, and comparing this job with that job is like night and day. That job was definitely serving countywide constituency, but it was a very narrow focus compared to what the Board of Supervisors deals with. And I knew a lot about the county, having been there in that elected position, but in the 45 days that I've been on the board, I have learned a tremendous amount about what the county does. And you're right, it is a complex $1.8 billion organization that touches many, many people in our county. And so the lessons I've learned are that it is complex, and that getting things done, obviously you have to have 3 votes, right. And you have to sort of be expert, if you will, on everything from, let's say, domestic violence to graffiti to illegal mattress dumping to veterans affairs to now we're at tomorrow's board meeting, and the board meetings to come we'll be discussing how to deal with the Measure A funds that the voters approved, thankfully. And so it's just a very complex job where there are a lot of moving parts, requires a great deal of collaboration, communication, and I think cooperation. Those are some of the keys that I've learned so far.
You talked about Measure A, and I think our viewers are going to want to know about that. And Measure A was the half-cent sales tax that voters approved in November. So that's going to be about $60 million annually into the county's budget. And the board right now is trying to decide what are some of those priorities. What are some of your priorities, or what are you hearing from your constituents about how that money really should be spent on the county?
Well, you're right. I have heard from constituents on Measure A and other matters that are before the board. Constituents, as you know, aren't bashful about sending in emails and phoning about what they'd like or what they don't like in terms of board considerations. But my overall priority with the advent of district elections is District 4, which includes East Palo Alto, Menlo Park, Redwood City, and the unincorporated area known as North Fair Oaks, where, by the way, there are about 15,000 folks that live in that area. And so that's one of my focus areas for Measure A funding, is to get some things done project-wise, and I'll tell you some about those in just a moment. But I think the other priority area are the county-wide sorts of things. Mental health for our young people, for instance. I went on the homeless count a few weeks ago, and that was an eye-opening educational experience. It turns out that most of the county's homeless homeless people are in East Palo Alto, Redwood City, and up in the north end in Dahlia City. So homelessness knows no boundaries. It's a city-by-city sort of thing, and it's a priority area. And I think just generally speaking, issues with children, seniors, and those that are less fortunate than ourselves are priority areas with me. But if you want to take just a second and focus first maybe on North Fair Oaks.
I was just going to ask you about that, actually.
Okay. I've actually had two sort of open office hours in North Fair Oaks now. And I can't tell you how many community meetings in living rooms around the area and just talking to people. And there are certain themes that come from all of those conversations. And I think we just had a North Fair Oaks Community Council, which the North Fair Oaks Community Council, as you know, is the sort of an advisor, if you will, to the Board of Supervisors from that area. And we had a retreat on Saturday and spent a few hours talking about, okay, what are the priorities for 2013? Because I certainly have my ideas, but I work for the people now. And so one of the most immediate priorities that was identified by the people that attended that retreat was illegal dumping of TV sets, mattresses, bed frames, those kind of things, especially in certain pockets of North Fair Oaks. And so I'm looking forward to working with code enforcement, for instance, the Sheriff's Office, the CHP, because as you know, one agency can't just step in and solve that problem. It's going to take recology and a lot of assets in the community to make that happen. But illegal dumping and garbage is one of their top priorities. It's interesting to note too, just learned that not only has the dumping included the things that I mentioned, but in certain spots now it's also including, and I know this is a little bit gross, but animal carcasses, which is a real health concern for children that walk along those railroad tracks and coming home from school and so forth and so on. So that's one of the things that I'm going to be focused on in the coming weeks is illegal dumping. And that's certainly a lot different than what a county assessor, an election person deals with.
And I think you touched on just how complex county government is and how complex really in many ways San Mateo County is. Because in some areas you have this huge wealth. And then another, a house in Woodside just sold for $117 million.
Right.
And then you go down to other areas that just are basically, at the poverty level.
That's
and
right.
so you have to balance all that and through your different constituencies.
I think that's right. I always sort of look at it as there's two San Mateo counties. One is the one that we see every day, that is the biotechnology capital of the world, Oracle, Electronic Arts, and those kind of enterprises here. Of course, on the coast you have the agriculture, but then you have the other San Mateo County, which in North Fair Oaks, for instance, the unemployment rate is double what it is in the other San Mateo County. And so that's one of the things we need to work on also, because unemployment and jobs is one of the key factors in crime, violence, graffiti, education, you name it. It's just economic development in that area is very important.
Another topic I wanted to touch on was social media and engaging people with their government. I know that is a high priority of yours. And I have Citizenville here by Gavin Newsom, a book that you're recommending that all department heads read, for instance. So tell us a little bit about the book and a little bit about your vision for connecting people with their government.
Okay, well, you're right. As the Chief Elections Officer, I invested a sizable amount of money in technologies that would save time, energy, and better serve constituents. And I'd like to bring that knowledge, that interest, that experience to the Board of Supervisors. And I have informally recommended that all department heads read the Lieutenant Governor's new book called Citizenville. And the reason I think it's important is it talks generally about how to engage more people in the process of governance. And I think especially here, since we're the front door to Silicon Valley, we really should be a leader in America for these tools and techniques that the Lieutenant Governor talks about. And I've read the book. I've recommended that others read the book. And it's important just to get us all on the sort of the same page, this common frame of reference. He talks about a lot of his ideas and experience in San Francisco Francisco, which, if you don't know, has been very innovative in social media and engaging folks in open data policies and so forth and so on. So I'd like to bring some of that kind of new approach to government using technology to the county.
Well, we only have a few seconds left, so if people want to connect with you through social media, how do you do that? Okay,
at Warren Slocum for Twitter. Facebook is Supervisor Warren Slocum. Website, warrenslocum.com. And email, of course, is warren@warrenslocum.com.
So thank you very much for joining us on Peninsula Newsmakers. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.